Hello everybody, welcome. Happy Thursday. Welcome to another episode of Chai with Rai. This is my third attempt. I don't know what is happening today, but my lives keep getting cut. Welcome, as I said, to Chai with Rai. My name is Rai. For those of you who do not know, this is my digital jukebox of hidden gems. If you haven't seen any of the past episodes, make sure to go and do so. Check out on my IGTV. I share everything. But onto the show. Hi Brinda, I see your hair. This is like my 15th attempt doing this, so hopefully I'll get this straight. As you wait there for 2 seconds, I'm going to do a quick intro. Like I said, today's guest, we have none other on episode 26, Brinda Guha. Brinda is a phenomenal artist. She's an artistic director, choreographer, dancer, actress, and model based in the States. Her background in dance begins from North Indian classical dance, such as Kathak, under the tutelage of her mother, Guru Malabika Guha. Alongside that, learning flamenco from Dionisia, Garcia. Also studied Manipuri, which is an East Indian classical dance from Guru Kalavati Devi and her daughter Bimbavati Devi, and several other contemporary styles. I'm sure Brinda is versed in, and she'll tell us about that. Brinda currently dances with Souls of the Wendy, which is a multicultural percussive trio rooted in the rhythms of tap, flamenco, and Kathak. She is also the artistic director of main faculty member of Kalamandir School of Dance, curator of WiseFruit, which is a seasonal live art showcase dedicated to the feminine divine. Having over 10 showcases and raising money for Planned Parenthood Action Fund. We're going to get into that as well. Her choreographic works have been showcased at the Brooklyn Dance Festival, NYCDA Dance Festival, Young Choreographers Festivals, Broadway Dance Center's Professional Semester Showcase. Oh my god, that's a mouthful. Gowan's Art Center, Secret Theatre, Dixon's Place, Grounds for Sculpture, New Jersey State Theatre, Georgeson Playhouse, Function Dance Complex, Hammerstein Ballroom, Madison Square Garden, and she has also choreographed for the TV show Star, which is the Lee Daniel production, for those of you who do not know, and she's collaborated and worked with the likes of Neil Schwartz, Ashley Dawson, Lauren Cox, Carlos Neto, Omari Mizrahi, Georgie, Ginger Cox, Subhasis Das, Kumari Suraj, Phil Orsano, Derek Mitchell, Justin Conte, and Andy, I'm going to try and pronounce this properly, Blanken Bueller. She's the faculty member of Liberated Movement, guest faculty member at the Broadway Dance Center, and permanently, like I already said, she teaches at Kalamandir. Her acting credits include working for Amol Palekar's Pagla Koda, her stage shows for South Asian theatre festivals, Red Oleanders, The Little Clay Cart, Subhasis Das's Our Voices, and you can also find Brinda in some print modelling ads, such as featured on the cover of Sandhya Menon's novel When Dimple Met Rishi. Let's get Brinda on here. Oh my god. Messed that up, but let's get Brinda on here and let's get this show started. Ooh. Hello, Brinda. Can you hear me?
Hi.
Hello? Hi. Oh my god.
We made it. We're here.
You made it. Are you okay?
I'm barely hanging in. I ran here from rehearsal. Let me get this camera right. Okay. I'm here. Yes, I'm in. I'm good. I'm happy. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. It's lovely to meet you finally. It's been too long.
I know.
Finally. Okay, before we do anything, we like to play a little game here.
Okay.
Which is not invented by me.
I'm really competitive. Is that a problem? I'm really competitive.
It's a great thing. Okay. Ishita is the one to beat right now. Everybody else has really messed this up. Okay. The game is called 5-second rule. I'll say 3 things for you to name, and you have 5 seconds to name them.
Okay.
This
Wait,
is your
hold on.
first.
I need to get my glasses on. Okay.
No
that's how I concentrate. Okay, ready?
No worries.
Here we go. All right.
Okay. This is your first try. We'll give this as a first try. In 5 seconds, please name 3 things you do before going to sleep. Go.
Stretch. Okay, do it again. I got scared. That was warm up. Okay. That was warm up. I don't actually stretch, and that was also a lie. I also don't stretch.
What do you do before going to sleep?
Nobody knows. I stumble into bed, but here we are. Let's try again.
Okay. Ready? 3 things you say when you're happy. Go.
Yay! Woo! Let's go.
give you that. That was just close. Okay. 3 ways of saying I have a headache. Go.
Oh. How was that?
That was good. That was good. But you missed it
I'm
just
being
by
very vulnerable right now.
You got this. You got this.
All right.
2 more left. All right.
Okay.
3 things we will find in your fridge.
Cilantro, Snapple, butter.
Wow, cilantro. I don't like putting that in the food. It tastes like
we have guinea pigs, and guinea pigs apparently love cilantro. So me and the guineas are fighting over cilantro pretty often. So, but here we are.
Last one. 3 policies if you were to run on as your presidency. Okay, ready? Go.
Universal health care, dismantling mass incarceration, and I was so close. I was so close.
Pay rights, maybe.
I mean, there's like 700 things this country needs to do, so it's really hard to choose.
Okay, it's bad to say this. I'm very much into world politics, and I feel like I'm less into British politics as more I am into American politics. But
that's because everybody here just makes a damn fool of themselves. So,
yeah, but I must say, Biden keeps it quite hush hush. Like, do you remember the days of like the View?
As it should be, though. As it should be. Like, I don't want to know what the president's up to every day. Like, he should be working. You know what I mean? He has a pretty important job. You know?
That is true, but it was fun. Trump was fun in terms of like his updates.
He was not fun. Don't listen. You are not going to get me to agree with that, sir.
No, I mean, okay, listen. In terms of every day, there was something. There was something that was happening with the presidency. So
I never say this about anybody, but he could go to hell. Like, he could go to hell. That man can go to hell. He can.
I feel like, I mean, like, can I just say, in a weird concept, you have to at least agree with this, right? It gives all of the celebrities, the people who just don't need to take the political route and things like that, hope that you can become the American president. Like, you can become the United States of America president. Like, you don't need a lot of things. You could just like, you know, as long as you have money, power.
And what does that say about our society? That people look at that and go, you know what? The takeaway is
the takeaway is that
the takeaway is I need to be not good at anything to be the leader of the free world. I mean, for me, that says way more about our society.
I feel you, but I was like, wow, you could literally be anybody. Oprah, come on.
You could be anyone. Yep.
You could be anybody.
Agreed.
Let me just pin this. We have an hour. I'm going to rummage through this. And if I am running over, you're going to do this.
Okay.
Okay.
Sounds good.
How are you? How's your day? Let's do that, because I feel like we should center ourselves before we get into this hurricane of conversation.
So I'm good. I just came from rehearsal with Souls of Duende. Thank you so much for that lovely introduction.
Not at all. I feel like I've messed up so many things for like that entire situation where I was trying to pronounce so many things.
Oh, no, you're fine.
Okay.
You're fine. As long as we get close enough and then keep ourselves open to the corrections when we meet those people that are
by all means, as you talk about Souls of Duende, I'm just going to throw this little visual in there. That's the fam.
We have a great show coming up. It's our first show back after this really challenging year, and so it's our first show back, and it's a 20-minute set. And for those of you who are not familiar with what we do tap, flamenco, and Kathak footwork. So it's very, yes, exactly. So it's very labor intensive, and it's very athletic in that way. And it's a lot. 20 minutes, that means it's a long set. So I'm just translating that for everybody. But it is our first set back in a public space, in a live show for Drums Along the Hudson, which is a festival here commemorating and celebrating Indigenous culture. So we're very excited to be headlining this Sunday. And so I was coming from rehearsal, was running late, all the things, messaging Rai, letting him know I'm coming late. But thanks for holding and thanks for.
Not at all. I feel like we talked about this already, but I have seen, if you haven't seen any of Brinda's interviews or any of the stuff, firstly, I think you should be a lecturer if you're not already. I
Oh
think you should
God, no
do
one wants to
get
hear from me.
no, I think you should do guest lecturing. I really think. And the second thing I would love for you to get into, because we talked about it last night, which is you say in the start of predominantly a lot of your conversations, your pronouns, where you're at, and Lenape. And for those people who do not know what Lenape culture or that situation is, if you could elaborate on that, because I only learned about it, what, 12 hours ago. So please.
No, I mean, I have to pass the mic, over to my, or I guess the baton and the trophy over to my employers at Dance NYC. They've really taught us how to properly introduce ourselves in spaces, especially in the context of American culture and where we are right now, the things and the experiences that we're trying to center as we fight for justice in various forms. So this is kind of why I introduce myself. I would say, and I am going to say that my name is Brinda Guha. My pronouns are she and her. I identify myself as a non-disabled, caste privileged, cisgendered, queer South Asian American woman and choreographer and artist and organizer. And I am calling in from Lenape land. And Lenape, the Lenape Mansi people are part of a large nation of many tribes, and they are the indigenous people of this area in America, in the United States of America. America is much larger than the States.
Then the States.
Yeah, but this part was originally Lenape Mansi land, and so it's important to acknowledge the land that was stolen from them.
Well, thank you for that. Thank you for educating the people. If you don't know, now you know, and you better ask somebody. Let's get into it. So I think hopefully you had a chance to read through some of the questions. If you haven't, we're just going to organically go through this.
Yeah, I'm going to have it pulled up just so I can also read as you're talking.
No worries. My first question to you is, which is not on there, are you a hair person? Because recently I watched your interview with Verda and you were a bit blondish. And before that, dare I say, you have had black hair and blue hair?
I've never had blue hair.
It must be a lighting in one of the pictures which made it look blue.
Oh, got it.
I was gonna say, do we have that in common? Because I'm a hair person. I love to switch it up, like literally.
No. I'm actually. That's funny that you asked that. I'm actually totally not a hair person.
Are you not?
No. When I get my hair done, it's like once every 3 to 4 years, like literally. And this, I recently got it done. It was originally, believe this, it was originally like a dark purpley red.
Oh, okay.
And it lasted for about 6 or 7 days, and then it turned blonde. And so $300 later, I'm just kind of adjusting, but this was not the original intention.
I wonder what the hair journey will be like. I need to see this.
We'll see.
Have you ever had a fringe, like a blonde?
No, I've never. I mean, no, that's not true. That's not true. I had it when I was like maybe 4. That was the look in Kolkata, India. That was the look, the fringe. The short, right?
Oh, the short.
I mean, short here
the
and short
bobs.
here.
Yeah, I love that. That.
Yeah, that was the 4-year-old Brinda. That was when I was,
living it up.
Living it up.
Well, let's get into it. How has your perception of the industry changed? Because you started quite small as well, in regards to, I feel like all Kathak or like classical dancers do when they grow up. How has your perception changed from when you started out working, especially, to where you are today? As well, how has your path changed? Because I feel like when you start out as a dancer or a young ingenue in the industry, you have all these goals, like I want to work for this artist, I want to work on this stage, I want to do this. How has that changed? And are you today where you thought you would be?
Great question. No, the answer is no to the second part.
And that's it. Let's move on.
That's the short answer. I guess because there's a lot of questions here, so I want to make sure we get to most of them, but I will say in a concise way that my perception of the industry has changed in the sense that what I thought I was entering was much more glamorous than it is.
Oh God.
What I thought I was entering was, the American dream of hard work pays off, and you achieve you're in show business, and then your life becomes about the work, becomes about the art, the work, and the setup, and the way that you set yourself up for success every day. I thought there was a destination. I was very naive. I still am in many ways, but I was very, very naive in thinking that way. I thought there was some big sparkly stage waiting for me, I did not realize that I'd have to fight every contract, that I'd have to fight every negotiation, that I'd have to even comment on what's happening in the world. I wanted to dance to my favorite songs. I didn't really know what opportunity we had to actually change the energy and the spirit with which people move through this space, move through this world. I didn't realize what a responsibility we had in dance and within the vocabulary and the disciplines of dance to actually get people to move towards action. I didn't know that. I didn't know any of that. So for me, it has been this outward destination, and now the destination, the arrow points in now, and I'm trying to see how far in I can go, because it's both things are true, that we are very small and we are very important at the same time, and so the industry has taught me that.
Damn the industry. Yeah. It kills you. You grew up with your mother, who was your guru.
Mm-hmm.
I believe I've pronounced that correctly. Malabika?
Yeah. Malabika. Yeah. That's her. Hi, Ma.
Can I just say, I wanted to show a picture where she's smoking a cigarette, or was it a cigar? I was like, that's quite. I was like,
all right, Ma. That was in Miami. She was living her life there.
I was like, that's thug life. Have you, growing up, did you feel immense pressure to have this sort of, I don't know, this sort of legacy to carry over? And did you know you were going to go into classical dance or experimental work at that point, or not really?
So the answer to the second question is that yes, I knew that I was going to have what I was learning converse with other styles. I knew that from an early age, because my cultural experience was very different from that of my mother's, which she shared with us along the way while being our teacher. So she shared with us the cultural experience, and I was able to compartmentalize what she was saying and what I was going through. So I grew up, my first performance that I saw was at a local library with West African dancing. For me, that wasn't even, Indian dance was not, it was always part of my life. But if I was to stage something or see something for the first time, and I grew up watching hip hop, I grew up watching salsa and bachata and merengue. I grew up watching West African. I grew up watching TV with all these famous shows, So for me, it was my world of my interests was very wide. And then at home and at the temple and at the school, we were learning Kathak.
Yes.
And for me, Kathak was one of those things. I didn't make that connection that Kathak is really the closest thing to my heritage.
Wow.
Maybe not as a Bengali, maybe as an Indian, but it was the closest thing to my heritage. Everything else felt close too, because I identify as American, right? And so when you have exposure to things, you feel the proximity to things. And so for me, it wasn't this profound closeness I felt to Kathak. I loved everything, But then over time, and this is the interesting part, over time, I just was gravitating towards cultural Indian dance forms. For me, it was much more important than to zoom in as I was growing into my own, and I was realizing how fucked up the world is. I was starting to go, oh man, I have this skill set and I have this vocabulary, but I'm not internalizing any of this. And I need to start internalizing this. I need to start understanding this, you know, so I can embody it, right? And so that journey kind of took me closer and closer. And now I'm an advocate for Indian dance for that reason, because I had to actually go from out to in that process, you know. And the grass is greener, right? When you have access to something, you're curious about something else. I had access to a lot of, at least watching a lot of different forms. And so for me, the sincerity of Indian arts was a journey that I took with age.
I'm dying, sorry. I have a cough. That needs to
No,
go
you're
away.
fine. I had a cough a few weeks ago. Those are real.
Do you feel like now that you have a cough?
Yeah, I know. You can't be in public because everyone's going to start, you know, running away from you.
I mean, hey. Do you think because you're such an advocate for Indian dancing, I always ask this question for people who have a great understanding and a training in classical or folk dancing, be it of South Asian heritage or like Spanish culture or other cultures or like African cultures. Do you think in the space that we're in today and where the dance industry is moving to and where the lines of, and we'll get to that question, and I think you talk about
my ring light turned off. Keep talking.
It's
I'm
so
gonna
fine.
fix it.
It's so fine. We talk about cultural appropriation and the lines are so blurred in race and diversity. Do you think that as a dancer coming into this industry, and if you're from an ethnic minority background, that you should have a basis or a basic understanding in the heritage of your cultural dancing?
Do you think that you need to be the culture of what you're dancing? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, or have an understanding of it.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I do. And you know, it's unfortunate because I think we were programmed to kind of think that like the world is our oyster and we can just kind of like do whatever we want, you know? And I don't know how true that is. You know, I'm I don't mean to be like, you know,
no, I feel you.
I'm just I'm honest about these things because I think it's important that we're not delusional. You know, and for me, I'm not saying that if you're not Indian, you can't study Indian dance. I would never say that. That's so not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that there needs to be the centering of the experiences and the journey and the knowledge of the people who hold the form as gatekeepers. The people who hold the form as gatekeepers need to be centered in the work.
Agreed.
That's how I feel. So like when I studied flamenco, I felt a true connection to the form because there are roots that connect flamenco to North India and in terms of the gitanas and all the people who traveled and the nomadic bards. And so for me, there was a connection there, but I just never felt. And I also didn't understand why people wanted to feel the most important in the room. Like to me, it was just really, I wanted to share the form. I wanted to share the form with other beings, and I wanted the permission of my teacher to do so, you know, and my teacher who was from Andalusia, you know, southern Spain, and and I felt like she was a gatekeeper of the form, you know, and not just because of the cultural identity, but because of her experience. My damn ring light doesn't want to stay on.
It's okay.
It's turning off. Anyway, but it's because of the actual. She held on to the form through cultural experience, but also through her training and her journey with the people and the gatekeepers that held the form for her. So when she held the form for us, it was important for me to follow her lead. Does that make sense? And in her world, for example, I'm using her as an example. Her name is Dionisia Garcia, by the way.
Yeah, I mentioned if you guys don't know.
Yeah, she's wonderful. I haven't studied in a few years, but I used to be with her for about 10 years, and she's amazing, and she's based in New York, and we followed her lead. I mean, she had everybody in her class. She had Cubans, she had Puerto Ricans, she had white Americans, she had Polish, she had Russian, like she had everybody. But she gave us the permission, and her mission was to really be these mostly women identified bodies moving together in packs, so when she established what the premise was, we went with it. It because our teacher said we could. You know what I'm saying?
You had the blessing.
Whereas, and so we had the blessing, and it wasn't just like okay, I bless you, you may go now with the form. It wasn't that. It was like,
yes.
It was like, you have a responsibility to be in this work with us. So she had no problem, for example, taking me out of dances that I didn't show up to rehearsal for. I don't get access to it because I paid for class.
Mm-hmm.
That you know what I mean? I get access to something because I worked for it, and because that person has the space to invite me into it. And I think that's the difference with culture. If you're not invited into the culture after doing your work, I don't think we can be mad when we're not
doing
the main person. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think that's one of the things that we do wrong. I think we think that we have access to everything. I think we just think we're allowed to touch everything, and I wonder what would it be like if we not asked permission, but observed more than observed and learned and waited for our cue, before just walking into things that we think because our wallet is thick that we could go do that,
I think some of it comes from, I can only speak from my experience within South Asian dancing, and even though I've done, I won't say fusion anymore because I watched one of your interviews and it talked about using hybrid as a word.
Hybrid, yeah,
which I love.
Better word, isn't it?
Such a nice word. I think it comes from certain things not being maybe institutionalized.
Oh yeah.
And also with the fact that there's no. I think certain things get diluted under the umbrella of Bollywood.
Mm-hmm.
And so that other genres, and I think in that there lies a problem.
I have a question.
Okay.
Why did you say, y'all seeing me over here backstage trying to get this ring light? That's what's happening over here.
You know what? It could be to do with your wire, because when your wire started getting stodgy, like mine does as well, I had to get it replaced.
Is it getting hot or something? Maybe.
Yeah. Or it just becomes like really flimsy from the top where your actual ring light is. So
got it.
Yeah.
Okay. If this happens again, Stacey, if you're watching, I'm gonna steal the terrace. Okay.
No worries. Just put some like electric tape around one of the top if like the wire is hanging out or something like that. Okay. I'll fix it.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
All right. What were we saying? I lost.
You had a question, but I have a question if you want.
I do have a question, even though this is your interview of me. But you said everything. You kind of went Bollywood. What did you mean by Bollywood?
I think people know that. For those of you who watch me, I have a very love and hate relationship with Bollywood.
Why is that?
Well, I grew up watching it as a South Asian person, and it was very much part of my culture. And I think when I got into the industry, I got into a Bollywood company to get back in touch with, because I was dancing predominantly and doing like the X Factor rounds and like doing commercial dancings and contemporary work. And there weren't South Asian people in there. And I wanted to join to be part of my culture and just go back to that. And when I went to it, I saw the politics of the industry. And I saw certain things like when I would do movies and these big choreographers that I looked up to, how they would have white dancers or black dancers at the front and they would put South Asian dancers back. Then I saw the South Asian choreographers and directors who didn't know or didn't have any knowledge in or training in traditional dancing, put bindis on their white clients or give them belly belts as part of the Asian experience. And in that also promoting it. And then when I went and did movies and crossover movies, I would see white dancers getting tanned and being put forward. So it kills your passion a little bit. And then also people who are in the industry who are South Asian who use you.
Well, I mean, I
Yeah,
think it's important to listen. I'm not one to defend Bollywood because I asked that question because I have similar thoughts. But
it's
without
weird because
getting
I
into that,
make money. It's weird because I make money off it, and I think that's the sad part. Like currently, I
right,
teach a class, and there's a part of it that I enjoy the students, and I love the experience that I can bring. You know, that experience of
right,
making
right,
someone happy, but the
right.
behind the scenes of it kills the hell out of me, and I'm just like,
Right. Well, I
is
think
it?
it's important. What I was going to say was you have to define, we have to define what we mean when we're saying Bollywood. I think my biggest issue with Bollywood is the word. Like
Yeah.
honestly, I've gotten to the point where I'm looking at it and I'm like, do you mean the industry? Do you mean the business? Do you mean the
Do you mean?
dance? Is there a
Yeah.
dance form called Bollywood? Is it an extraction from music videos and video and film? Like, what does it mean when when people are talking about Bollywood, right? Like, it's like
Yeah.
me saying, like I teach an industry. Like, it's like me saying I teach conventions.
Yeah.
I teach convention dance. And and I'm like, that's what it sounds like to me, and that's what I'm trying to still reckon
Understand.
with.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what Bollywood means. I actually really, really appreciate old Bollywood dancing.
I agree with you.
I appreciate the commercialization of classical and folk forms in an entertainment space where people had equitable access to the movies. I mean, we're talking about old Bollywood. We're talking about a place where farmers could go, where rural people can go, and they can have a night out and they can pay 15 rupees to go see a movie. Like, I'm talking about access. To me,
Yeah.
the premise is beautiful, but what it's turned into is this, under white supremacy and under the actual delusion of what is right and what is great, it has turned into the equivalence of culture, and it's one part of the culture. It's the commercialization of the culture, which is cool. And even within that, I have questions. But in general, I'm always confused by what we're trying to say when we say Bollywood. I want to know. Like, I want to know.
Hey, I'm there with you. I'm trying to figure out. That's why I'm still here. But
Because what you're saying is this struggle you feel inside with how they conduct themselves versus what it can be for people, right? And you're talking about this struggle, and that struggle is deep. That's the dance industry in general. Yeah.
Which kind of brings me on to my next question. In a video, you stated in one of your videos, and I think like this is the running theme, and I'm quoting you on this. My work consists in understanding the history and culture of Indian classical dance, Indian classical music, and Indian classical history.
Well,
How? No, my question was that, and going back to the previous conversation that we talked about, how do you balance that when you're creating work, which can be an hours of a class set to non-Indian classical music, or creating work for the purposes of digital commercial usage?
Well, first of all, I said that in Trinidad in 2019.
Yes, you said that in that workshop, yes.
And that's what I don't like about trailers, because
snippets.
They take snippets, but I had an entire speech before that about the problematic use of the word classical.
Yes.
So what they kind of kept was this like weird ending.
Soundbite.
Like, I don't know if that soundbite like encompasses what I meant, but the context of what I was saying was that the word classical is problematic because the word classical infers the patronage, and the patronage is then speaks upon class and caste systems that we know are unjust. So we're talking about something that I love, which is Indian classical dance, something that I love. And I love the divinity of it. I love the codification of it. I love the styling. I love the premise. I love the presentation. I love everything about the vocabulary, the discipline required, everything. I love everything about it. And yet I know it's problematic because it's appropriated its own regional forms, of dance. So within that, in that space, I was talking about how the term studying it and being involved in it means dismantling it a little bit, you know, and talking about why it may no longer serve us.
Mhm.
Does that make sense? And then
It
and then
does,
we
yes.
did a dance. Then we did a dance to Chakademus Murder She Wrote after that. So, so for me, it was just like that moment of that. That's really what I was actually talking about, but that's not kind of what came through. It's important to understand what something is and what something is called and why, so you can decide if that's how you want to move forward. You know, there's a lot of people doing that work, putting in that work, like for decades, trying to reclaim the word contemporary, like Ananya Chatterjee, Dr. Ananya Chatterjee in Minneapolis, Minnesota. She's, you know, does social justice choreography based in a style of dance that she calls yorcha, a discipline of dance that she calls yorcha, which is based on vinyasa yoga and cho and odissi dance, right? And she's really codified this. Like this, you can't do stuff like that in 3 years. You do stuff like that in 30 years, right?
Yeah.
And then you decide what perceptions serve us, you know, and some of those things then don't. And so this word classical is tough because it has the word class in it. You know? And so then we have to like there's this thing that we love, but then the other side of us is like, wow, but people didn't even have access to it. You
Which
know?
I think
And
is
so
always, yeah.
yeah, and I think that's the internal battle, you know?
I think it's interesting that you brought up that person. I'm going to look that up because for a while I've been like, every time I have a classical dancer on here, I talk about the elitist colorism caste system that comes with it a little bit. And I always talk about there's beautiful Alvin Ailey has created work, there's Horton technique that, you know, people have. And I was like, why is it that the South Asian community doesn't have something like that on a mass scale, which is codified, which is done in a way and still has that? Because I think for people like yourself and Akram and Ishita and even Project Convergence, Ramita and Vikas, you guys create beautiful work, but it's inspired from a narrative of classical. And I think as a person of today, when you yourself don't believe those narratives or want to challenge those narratives, what's the balance?
Yeah, I mean, but here's the thing. You're kind of what's the word? Comparing apples to oranges right now, because when we're talking about things that are as old as anything that comes from the Indian subcontinent, when you're talking about things that are that old, we have to remember that if it wasn't for caste and class, we would actually be able to name the names. You know what I mean? Like we would actually be able to move forward with the true definition and titles for things. Like, for example, like the gatekeepers of Bharatanatyam dance are upper caste, you know, men in a lot of spaces, and it used to be called Sadir. It was from the Devadasis. Like it was something else, right? And then it turned into something else. And then that thing, based on the power structure of the country, the power structure of the people, of the government, then there's a lot of things that happen to the form in order to preserve the form.
Got it.
Right? And so when people say to me that politics doesn't always need to be in dance, I say, you know, because that's the criticism. It's like, why does every piece need to be political, right? And I get it, you know, but I just don't feel like we can get away from understanding that the form is preserved and studied because of politics. You know what I'm saying? And so when you're talking about something like Bharatanatyam, I mean, there's these beautiful, beautiful, Sonali Skandan taught me this. There's these beautiful lineages of thoughts that come from, you know, Rukmani Devi or Bala Saraswati. One being Bala Saraswati talking about the preservation of the feminine divine and the form and the sensuality in the form, the sacred and the profane, basically. And then Rukmani Devi kind of talking about the geometry of the form, taking that sensuality kind of out of the form, making it more about the technique, making it more about the vigor and the power, right? And we're having these huge, beautiful discussions without mentioning, in a lot of open spaces, without mentioning and understanding that this was taken from the lower caste Devadasis. They created the form, right? It was called Sadir. It was called other things, you know?
I didn't know that. That's so fascinating.
So then just imagine, like, just fast forward a million years, and now just imagine us now under capitalism and white supremacy trying to tell people about culture. It's like so many layers removed. You know what I mean? We're talking about something. So in the community, I'm not even a Bharatanatyam dancer, but in the community, we're talking about dismantling all of these layers and in our own forms. And we're trying to get the grant. And we're trying to be able to create, in order to create work, by the way, not just to get money, in order to create work, in order to preserve work, in order to teach work. So we're trying to do all of these things at the same time. And so that's why I say you're kind of comparing apples to oranges, because we're talking about something that the roots are so far and deep, and it has gone through so many tumultuous times of history that it's like, it's not easy to have this codified definition. It's not easy to do that because the power has been in different people's hands along the way. You know what I mean? Like Kathak, for example, is this beautiful confluence, as Farah Yasmin Sheikh says, this beautiful confluence of Hindu and Muslim culture. Not religion, culture. You know, you go to Lucknow now, which is a Hindu town, but you go and you say Salam Alaikum to everybody. That's not, it's a cultural thing. It's in the space. It's not what's your faith. You know, like all these people, they coexisted. We're talking about the Trinity in Palestine. We're talking about those monotheistic religions of Islam and Christianity and Judaism. It was okay until these forces came in and decided to divide and conquer, right? So we're talking about, and then of course the bargaining of, oh, you want to hold on to your culture? Oh, you want to hold on to your form? You want to preserve your form? Okay, so if you do this, this is how the state inserts themselves. When the state inserts themselves on culture, then culture is going to take a different turn. So many forms have inserted religious texts because of state-sanctioned violence, not because that was ever part of the repertoire. You know what I mean? And so it's just really important to unpack some of these things, because otherwise we're kind of twiddling our thumbs and we're trying to tell people, look, we're brown and cultured, you know? But like, there's just a lot to deal with, you know?
Agreed. Oh, lost my train of thoughts now with all of that information. No, you're so fun. No, I think this is a conversation which I really want to have, and it doesn't take an hour.
I know.
How much
we can
time
always
do we have
do a
left?
part two. We could do a part two.
How much time do I have left, by the way?
You have like 6 minutes, but I'm gonna, you know, I can do about 20 more minutes.
Okay, you have an option. Right now we can buzz, because I really want to have some fun as well. We can go to some games, or we can do one more question and then do some games through the million questions that I have to ask.
No, well, let's say this for the people that will hop on and do a part two in a couple weeks if you can.
I would love to. I seriously would love to, because I think it's so interesting, and I so want to learn so much more. And
I know I had limited time today, and I'm really sorry about that. But there is, I'm looking at your questions right now, and there's some really great stuff in here. I'm totally open to doing another part. So let's just keep that in the back burner and keep going.
Okay, cool. I think it would be a miss, because I have. Okay, yeah, I would like to ask this question. I'm just making it up on the spot.
Okay.
Firstly, I would like to ask because I asked this of every person who's not of the UK, what the space is as an artist and as a dancer. But I think adding on that, as a person who personally struggles with getting their foot into the door and sustaining as a creative who's not just a dancer, an actor, or a producer and things like that, who's also queer and sometimes doesn't fit into the queer community, because within the queer community you have so many umbrellas of like femme, mutt, and like if you're then not with that person, or if you're gender binary, and if you're not going around like saying hey girl or wearing heels, you're not considered gender binary or cisgender. How do you function from a sane level?
Like, how do I have my head on my shoulders and just make it happen? Like, walk through those spaces?
Yeah, because recently I've been having a lot of mental breakdowns.
Yeah.
So how do you function as a person who's also not just an artistic director, but a dancer, a model, an actress, a curator, and you're balancing all of those things in the back of your head?
Yeah, that's a good question. Like, the truth, well, the main thing to say here is, the first thing to say here is that we cannot not name that we just went through a once in a lifetime pandemic. So we're talking about a very, very tumultuous time in terms of identity. So the pandemic was not only a health pandemic, but there was a reckoning about race, and there's a reckoning about history and identity at the same time. And that pandemic has been going on for 400 years. We were just busy because of capitalism, right? So we subscribed to this other evil called capitalism, and we just kind of moved that over there, right? Because we're all kind of on this mountain trying to get to the top, and so we think with hard work, and we think without sleep and good work ethic and goals and dreams and Monday.com, we think that we're going to,
oh my god, I love a Monday.com.
I mean, I do too, don't get me wrong, but like we think with all of these things that, we'll be able to fix things once we're at the top. Once we're at the top, we'll fix it all. And then we'll tell everyone there's equality and equity. And like, once we get to the top of this mountain, right? And so we're like struggling. And so along the way, when you realize the system wasn't really designed for us to climb it that easily, then you get depressed, and then you get, and what you're saying is that you start to go, where do I even fit? Like, I can't excel at anything. I can't be the best at anything. I don't see a clear path forward. The industry's fucked. Like, there's so many different kinds of things that will then tug at you. But remember, you're already vulnerable. You're already vulnerable because of the system, right? So I think the only answer really is to divest from those systems. And by divest, I just really mean like stop, like try to interrupt moments, self-interrupt moments of judgment and pain and guilt and shame. Try to kind of interrupt these moments of, I didn't work hard enough, so I don't deserve a nap. No, you deserve a nap because you're sleepy. Like, that's why you deserve a nap, because you're a person who naps. That's why you deserve a nap. Maybe it doesn't need to be half an hour, though. If you want to hold yourself to something, then maybe make it 15. But don't not nap because you think you're going to save the world. That's not true. These are the type of things that we have to kind of divest from. So when it comes to identity, I wanted to say that first. And the pandemic has put a lot of those things into perspective for a lot of people. Now everyone's an activist all of a sudden. So there's that. So now everyone's
talked about that. You talk about that a lot in that even with the work that you do, you don't even consider yourself to be an activist.
Oh no, I'm not an activist. There are activists because activists exist. Activists
There's
are on
the art of activism, and I think it's the same with like
Yeah, I think activism, I think we need to be very careful when we use that word. You know, I know that there are some people who are, and there's some people who self-identify as that, and they should, because if you self-identify as an activist, then you have justification for that. So that's fine. But like, there are a lot of folks out there who have not spent enough time with the communities that they're advocating for. And so for me, it's a very, weird thing to say. And also there's a lot of frontline workers, and there's a lot of people who are just out on the streets fighting these battles, putting their bodies on the line for us to have this like ability to make a dance. Like, you know what I mean? Like it just feels like I'm not minimizing what we do. I'm saying that they make that space for us to then raise the consciousness of the people. So I don't think we can then appropriate their title, you know, like they're an activist. We're maybe, you know, we have maybe activism. We have notions of activism in our work. We're socially conscious of what's going on. Like, and there are some people who are artist activists. They're doing both. They're doing that work, you know? And so I think it's important to name that. But anyway, to your original question, identity is important. It's really hard to navigate right now. And the reason I had to take that detour to get here is because I needed to name the context of the moment. You know, the context of the moment is extremely important because the context of the moment keeps changing. So our identities are going to keep changing. Our identities are not solid. They're fluid, you know, and so they're going to change. They're going to evolve. They're going to respond to the time. There's going to be different callings, you know. I do think there's a lot of boxes. There's a lot of labels. We talk about like, don't subscribe to labels. I mean, you can. You know, whatever. Like,
we love a bit of Raven Simone, okay? We love a bit of Raven Simone.
Yeah. We love a bit of Raven Simone. Listen, I love Raven Simone, but what I'm saying is, I just feel like we have to decide in every situation when it comes to identity. We have to decide in every situation: do we believe in reform here, or do we believe in abolition here? Do we believe in slow and steady change, or do we believe in burning this shit down? You know, there's certain, and it's different for everybody, right? So you have to kind of figure that out for yourself. Like, there's certain things that I will burn the shit down. Like people who commit sexual assault, I will burn the shit down. I know that they're traumatized, but I don't have space for it. Right. So I will burn that shit down, and I will hope to God that they get the help that they need. But I will not be part of that. You know, that's my personal thing. Right. But then there's other stuff where I'm just kind of like, I don't know, intergenerational conversation, accidental, I don't know, not using the right terminology, intergenerational conversation. These things to me, I'm like, when the woke police comes out, I'm like, shut up and sit down. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, it's such a privilege.
There's such a thing as a woke police.
No, seriously, like there's people coming out, there's young people coming out these days, and they are calling people out without knowing anything about the culture of what they're calling out. And for me, that's problematic because that doesn't actually lead to change at all. In fact, that leads to a lot of animosity, right? Because that's basically the stepchild of settler colonialism, is coming in, not knowing anything and taking over, you know? And I don't have that. I have patience for people who don't know better. I don't have patience for people who cause irreversible harm necessarily, but I have a lot of patience for people who want to do well and make a lot of mistakes. You know what I mean? And I don't think that our generation and younger need to come out and tell anybody any different. What I do think we need to do, though, is powerfully move forward with our new standards and rules. We need to be so confident that we're not going to use certain words anymore, that we're not going to say certain. We need to be so clear and confident and move forward so that the future can understand what the new standards are. But we don't need to sit here and beat up the people who aren't there yet. I just don't believe it. You know?
Oh God. Okay, I'm gonna bust through this in 10 minutes. We're gonna play some games, but I really
Okay.
want to ask a question, which I really wanted to ask you, and you have to answer it within a couple of seconds.
Okay, well, I'll do it quickly.
As a person who has a strong voice or a poignant view on things, and who stands up for certain things, and also, like you said, there's certain things that you'll burn the shit out, and then there's certain things that you're willing to have a seat at the table, let's say, and converse about it and move the needle forward. And as somebody who uses the digital platform to voice these things, do you ever get a 2-second sort of thing in your head where you're like, there's going to be backlash, or there's like you talked about the woke police and things like that, people coming out and who don't talk about it, and with the cancel culture being like, okay, you won't work for this job, you won't get this place, or an agent telling you if you put too much political stuff, you're not going to get that acting role, you're not going to, like, what do you do in those instances when, okay, just a thing, don't come after me, anybody, or even if yourself, and if I'm wrong, please correct me. Last year, when can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. You're good.
Last year, when the surgeons of Black Lives Matter took to such a powerful space, and I think at that point there was still happening things in Yemen, in India, in terms of farmers' rights, and then there were things happening in terms of just globally. There were so many conversations to talk about, and everybody decided to hop on this bandwagon and be woke. And then if you didn't share a black tile, it was like, what's happening? If you didn't do this, what was happening? And I was like, no, there's works. There actually is works. And I remember watching this video on Twitter where I think it was in the Bronx, people burning places down, and this girl standing in front of a shop saying, why are you even burning these things down? What is the point of it? You're destroying somebody's hard work. You're destroying people's cars. You're not doing anything to move the needle forward. So in points like that, where if you want to share certain things or have a point of view, and there's backlash of it, and it might stop you from getting work, what's your perception? What's your point of view on that?
My point of view is that you have to be so sure about what you're doing.
Yeah.
And then you have to go and do it.
Yeah.
That's how I feel. You have to be so sure, because the problem that you're saying, right, in this question, the real problem here is that people don't know what the fuck they're doing. That's the problem. People want to burn the damn thing down because they think they'll get something out of it. They don't know what burning the thing down means. They don't actually consider the consequences. A lot of people that are out here doing the right thing are not saying the right thing, are not considering the consequences of what it means for these very, very large actions that they want to take for something. I think you have to know what you want to do. You have to strategize. You need to have think partners and accountability partners and create a strategy. And then you have to execute your movement. Then you have to go and execute your movement. I am in no place to tell somebody during BLM what they can burn down and what they can't, because I am not a Black life getting murdered. So I don't know that sentiment. I don't know it. All I can do is stand in solidarity with the sanctity of Black life. That's all I can do. But if somebody handles it a certain way in one state and handles it a certain way in another state, I also don't need an opinion. I don't need to have an opinion. I need to make space for my Black friends to have opinions. You know, part of the problem is that we are inserting ourselves into things that are not going to affect us either way. What we need to do is we need to associate ourselves and galvanize ourselves with missions and beliefs and movements that we want to add momentum to. That's what we need to do. And in order to do that, we need to strategize and we need to educate ourselves to know what we're aligning ourselves with. Because just not everybody is a leader. There are people out there that have been doing this work, and what they need is steam. That's what they need. But in this day and age, in the individualistic part of life, we think that all of us are going to start a Fortune 500 company, theoretically. You know what I mean? Each of us thinking that, because we're taught from a young age, branding, this, that, you know, and we're not thinking about the fact that there are people out there with this mission already. We can join them, you know, but we do need to know what we're joining. We do need to know what we're joining.
Let's do games.
Okay.
Quickly. All right.
Let's do it.
All right. And we're going to do a part 2. The games I call Sip a Chai or Play with, right? We're going to bust through this lightning round, and then if I'm getting to a point where you're like, I need to go, just do this. All right? Are you ready? This
How does it go? How does the game go?
It's 3 rounds. I'll do it quickly. I'll walk you through it.
Okay.
This section is called If I Was. So if I was to say to you, if you were a color, what would you be? You'd say blah, blah, blah. All right? If I was a movie, what would the title of that movie be called?
Onward.
What would the storyline be in quick 2 sentences?
Oh, come on! A storyline?
Yeah.
It would be filled with things going wrong, and the characters have to find a way to move onward.
That's the IMDb synopsis. Who would star? Who would be the stars of this entire Onwards movie coming to a cinema near you?
I love Mahershala Ali.
Okay.
I love Rami, the actor Rami.
Rami Malek.
Yes, I love Rami Malek. I really like Meryl Streep. I don't know if she fits.
Oh, I love Meryl Streep,
but I love her.
She's a very sweet person, by the way.
Yes, I also like Glenn Close. I think she's really cool. And my top is Viola Davis.
Oh my God, that scene in How to Get Away with Murder where she takes her wig off and she takes off her eyelashes. That woman, I want to meet
everything.
Her. What would the song be? What would the title song be?
Of Onward?
Yeah, if you want to sing it, feel free to.
Oh no.
That's it. Oh no.
That's the song. That's the song. Yeah, the chorus is like, oh no. Yeah, that's the song. That's the. Okay, we just did it.
Who sings it?
Who sings it? Oof. Oh, this is getting tougher and tougher.
This is meant to be rapid.
Okay, this is so hard. Okay, Josh Groban.
Okay. If you.
I'm just trying to make it like weirder and weirder now.
If you were a fruit, what would you be?
If I was a fruit, ooh.
The first thing that comes to your head, quickly.
Mango.
Yeah, mango. If you were a drink, what would you be?
Lemonade.
Lemonade. If you were a food, what would you be?
If I was a?
Food.
Oh, salsa.
If you were a dessert, what would you be? This says a lot about you having a sweet tooth. Now, come on.
Tiramisu.
Okay.
What?
Okay.
You're judging me? You're judging me?
I'm not judging you. It's just I feel like you're better than a tiramisu. I do like tiramisu. If you were a holiday destination, what would you be?
Oh, Bali.
Oh, that's a nice one. Okay, you recovered. Yeah. If you were a plant, what would you be?
Oof. This is hard. This is too hard. This is too hard. I don't know. An oak. No, a willow tree.
A willow tree. If you were an animal, what would you be?
Jaguar.
If you were a pose, what would you be?
A what?
A pose, like a modeling
like a
pose or a dance pose.
Oh, a pose. If I was a pose, I would just stand completely center, hands on waist, full Beyonce style.
Okay, cool. Do you love Beyonce?
Huh?
Do you love Beyonce?
I have problems with her, the
work?
way she does some stuff, but I am a big fan of Beyonce. Yes. Okay,
we should talk about Beyonce the next time because I have very controversial opinions on that, and I get butchered to a point where on the Formation tour I was like, boo, and people were booing me.
You can't boo Beyonce. Get the hell out of here.
I almost got pushed down the stairs.
Yeah, good. You should have. I
no,
down the stairs.
Listen. Okay, there were valid reasons. I was here for naughty boy and baby boy. I'm gonna show. Okay, you have we have 3 sections to pick from, so you need to do either we can do best and worst, Most overrated or underrated. I'll give you categories and you have to give me things of that. Or we do an activity round.
Okay. Overrated, underrated. I love that. I've never played that.
Most overrated and underrated dance trend.
Oof.
Or fashion trend.
Okay.
Quickly.
Underrated would be the two-step.
Oh, wow.
Step side to side. Side to side. There's way too much sauce in that, and not enough people celebrate it.
I feel like you don't need to explain yourself. This is rapid. Just keep going.
Sorry.
Keep going.
God,
keep going. Keep going. Okay. We're under a time constraint here, woman.
Okay. Underrated was the two-step. Overrated is oh shit. A shimmy. I'm not into a shimmy.
Okay, most overrated and underrated piece of theater.
Overrated. Over here, Shakespeare in the Park. Do you guys have that there?
No, we have
a whole Central Park Shakespeare in the Park situation. I think it's overrated. And then
we're gonna go when I come to New York.
We're just gonna sit there.
I love Shakespeare.
And underrated is literally anything at Joe's Pub. There's this place called Joe's Pub, and I feel like nobody knows what's going on at Joe's Pub, and I think Joe's Pub has the best shows ever.
We'll go there after as well. Most underrated, you can either do dancer or choreographer.
Most underrated dancer?
Yeah.
Or choreographer? Ooh.
Come on, there's one more section which I really want to do.
I don't know. That's hard. There's so many people that are so amazing that nobody knows about.
Say the most overrated ones.
No, that's so rude. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing it.
Why does everybody want to be politically correct?
I don't want to say someone's overrated. That's
I feel like you could. You have opinion.
You know who I don't think is great at all is Lorianne Gibson.
That is the next section of this entire.
Yeah, I don't really think it's that good.
I
went ahead and said it.
Okay, firstly, I've never met her. Secondly,
I haven't either, and she'll never see this because I don't think I'm important. So
you don't know that. I'm gonna meet her and then I'm gonna play this for her.
Oh
no! Why do you not remember Honey and when she teaches you the dance moves at the end? Or a boom cack.
Oh, I know, Honey. Listen, I watched Honey all of my teenage years. Listen, I completely understand, but I can't get down. It's too cheesy for me. I can't get down.
Is it making the band that killed it for you? All right. Well, the next section is called Boom Cack for Your Life because I love her. So,
oh my God, really?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Literally, look. Boom cack for your life.
Oh my God. Okay, good.
I'm going to show you 3 clips and I'm going to pause them. They're of your work or you've danced in them and you need to show me the next 8 counts. I say that loosely because some of them are like balls or tukras and like you can't really do an 8 count, but we're just going to do it. Okay?
Like I have to get up and do it?
That is the part.
Oh
that is the
God.
part. Don't bring God into this.
Okay, here we are. Here we are. Let's go. Oh, that was an improv.
It doesn't. I love picking an improv. Can I just say?
That's horrible.
Okay, you have just done. Oh God!
Turning.
You can stop turning.
That's what I did.
Okay, let's go and watch it. Let's see it. Let's see it. Let's.
I did that.
No!
Oh, I did.
Turn and a turn and a turn and a turn and a turn. How many pairs can you do now? In like a good.
I could do a lot of turns.
You can do a lot of turns. Okay, this is the next video. You ready?
Okay, ready. Let's see. Oh shit.
Okay, so we've stopped at a do-do-doom,
so
do-do-doom.
I think I think
Do you know what is interesting? I don't mean to disrespect Indian classical and Kathak dancers, but I
Yeah.
feel like this notion needs to be taken out of all
That
Indian.
is our favorite transition.
Listen, when contemporary dancers start doing this, and now in every contemporary class you see shit like that, you're just a bit over it. Okay, okay, let's watch it.
Let's see.
That's where we ended. Oh, okay, okay. Okay, she remembered.
I remembered.
Okay,
Oh, by the
last.
way, we have to give credit to.
Oh yes, that's somebody's class, by the way.
Prashant Shah. That's his
There.
choreography. Yeah.
All right, are you ready?
Ready? Oh, great. Oh, this is so old.
Okay, let's do it after turn, da.
Oh, I can't remember it.
You got this.
Sorry, I'm reviewing.
No, you gotta make it up on the spot. Come on, you got this.
Oh, oh, I forget. It's gone.
Can I just
It's
say
gone.
you're helped? You're helped by
I
this space.
completely forgot. Wait, let me see. Oh, right. Forward. Then I turn and then I sit.
Is that a green screen in the background, by the way?
No, it's not. It's a white wall.
Okay, it looks very green.
That's at Grounds for Sculpture in
I'm
Hamilton,
here for
New
it.
Jersey.
Can I just say, I think
completely forgot. Then it's the sitting section. I love that section.
You're the only person who I've ever seen doing a Kathak solo in a purple skirt. I have never seen anybody doing. Yeah, usually they're all like red, white situations like that.
Oh no, my mom likes her costumes are like purple, pink, deep blue, light green, like really interesting colors.
Here for it. Well, that brings us to an end. Even though I had 2 more activities, let's do some last questions quickly, and I'll let you go.
Okay.
All right. What words would you give to your mirror self today?
To my what self today?
Mirror self. If you were to look in the mirror today.
2 words?
Just any words, like not 2.
I thought you said give me a number. I wasn't sure. You are enough.
Oh.
As
I
you
feel
are.
it's the actualization of that. That's the work. Peaks and valleys is a question I ask all of my guests. Peak is a highest point of your personal professional life. What was it? What lesson you learned from it? A valley is a low point of your personal and professional life. What was it? What lesson you learned from it? Sorry,
peak.
no, let me do this.
Oh yeah, great. Good job. All my gurus are looking at you right now.
I'm sorry to every classical.
Okay, no.
This is why I'm learning Bharatanatyam, okay?
Yeah, they don't have that in Bharatanatyam.
Or I want to learn Odissi.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, peak. I mean, I have so many peaks. It's hard, but my one that's just coming to mind right now, so I'm just going to say it, is I choreographed for the North American Bengali Conference, and I choreographed the closing ceremony there, and it was a big piece on water, the River Ganges, and that was a really amazing moment because it was in Madison Square Garden, and my mother and I choreographed a show together, a full show. So it was just like I mean, there was a lot of things wrong with that day, but that actual show,
technical,
and also the organization's horrible, but the actual what we made was cool, you know, and I got to make it with my mom, so that was really cool.
What did you learn from that?
I learned that we don't work well together. That's what I learned. I learned that we do not work well together, that we are very, very different. We are very, very different. And but there's a lot of knowledge in being her teammate as opposed to being her student. There's a lot of knowledge, a different kind of knowledge that I gained from working beside her as opposed to under her. So that was important for me to experience.
A valley.
Let's see. I'll be honest, I was dragged for a show that I did in 2019 that I shouldn't have been at. It was a horrible place to be, and I was there. And it went against my values, it went against my politics, it went against my mission in life, to be there, to be in alignment with those people. And I was there because I was there for a paycheck. I was there to pay my dancers. And that was a valley, because that then lasted a very long time of public apologies and a lot of things, which, was a very good learning lesson for me in my entry into being an organizer. But it was a very painful time because I was discredited for a long time.
What was the lesson? Simply that to choose your work wisely, or you gotta do what you gotta do?
To put the work first. And if you're in a position where you have to take a terrible gig for money, then there's something wrong with your infrastructure. There's something wrong with the own way you do your business. You should never be in a position where that should have been an easy decision in the other way. So
what does the future hold?
What does the future hold? I don't know.
What's the ultimate give now for you? Or do you not have one? You've lost sight of that. You're focusing on the journey.
I'm focusing on the journey. I think that's honestly, I started therapy for the first time ever. Couple weeks ago, and it was really helpful. My partner is the most amazing, supportive, beautiful, smart person in my life. And she's very, very, she holds me accountable to a lot.
Is she an artist too? I couldn't tell.
Yeah, she's a choreographer. Her name is
Oh my God.
Webster. Yeah.
I want to ask questions on that then.
Yes, her name is Stacey Webster. She is phenomenal. She's so good at what she does, and is a beautiful artist. But what she really, in terms of our partnership, she definitely holds me accountable to things that I said I'd do, or things that, she knows kind of like, I know where your head's at, but that's not going to serve you, you know? And she kind of like is that third eye for me. So, oh, look at that. The light's off again.
Look at it.
But yeah, she's that's important to me as well, to name her. What was the question? I lost the question.
I was like, what does the future hold?
Oh, what does the future hold? I'm focused on the journey right now.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm focused on the journey right now because I need to get my head and my heart right as we move forward with dance. Yeah.
And lastly, what is your favorite chai to have?
Oh, masala chai on the train to Shantiniketan in West Bengal. So when I get on the train at Howrah Station in Kolkata, then I take the train to Shantiniketan, the Shantiniketan Express. Yeah. And they stop like 3 times, I think. And all these little kids like run on the train, and their uncles and their grandpas run on the train with this small clay cups and chai. Kind of the string pulled, the pulled chai. And it is the most scrumptious, amazing. It can never be replicated anywhere. Bengali cha that I'm just obsessed with.
I am here for that, and I will try it. That brings us to an end. Thank you so much. I had so many questions. I wanted to talk about WiseFruit. I so wanted to talk about WiseFruit. I wanted to talk about so many other works. And
no, we'll definitely hop on one more time and we'll finish this out properly. I'll make sure that I'm not like working.
It's okay. No. Yeah. Listen, everybody warned me. They were like, "You got Brinda." Oh my God. They were like, "She's busy." They're like, "She's busy."
I know. But I'm sorry.
You're part of my Avengers. I don't know if I've told you this. Ishita, you, Vikas and Ramita from Project Convergence. Okay, you guys are part of you guys are part of my my Avengers. And when I come to the States, you guys, I have actually for you yourself, I used to be part of this company called Activism Dance Theater, and the owner of that now lives in New Orleans. She also does create work, and the slogan says art meets activism. Oh, so cool. I would love to connect you guys, and I think she travels to New York as well. So I'm coming in the winter time there. And
perfect.
I want to meet y'all. I want to go to a show. I want to have an in-talk conversation.
That'll be fun.
I want to go have a New York pizza.
They're all really, really talented people. It would be a lot of fun. Yeah.
I'm here for it. I might want to go to DDCon because I feel like people at DDCon need to have perspective. No, in terms of like, because it's like it's mainly like Bollywood-y sort of situation. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
And I think like for Asian dancers who want to continue on being dancers, there needs to be like, you know, perspectives in terms of from all angles. But I just want to go to DD Con with you guys.
Yeah, no, that'd be great. That'd be awesome.
Oh, I'm such a fan. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. No, thanks for inviting me. I'm sorry I not only
it.
came late, but now I have to leave. And but we will do this again. I mean, that's the good thing about Instagram Lives now. So we can just like hop on and do it again.
Guys, go follow WiseFruit. Go follow Brinda. Go follow Kalamandir Dance Company. Have I pronounced that correctly?
Yes.
Go follow, go support people. Just, you know, like literally support people. Make us, you know, thank you for all of that. I will tag all of this in the situation. Just, you know, and make sure Brinda comes to your institute to do a little lecture, because she has wise knowledge and conversation.
Let's see if it amounts to anything in life. We'll find out.
No, thank you so much. I'm going to send you a thank you message after this. I'm going to talk and let's stay in touch. And I'm so thankful. Next week we have another guest. Thank you to all those who joined. See you soon. Bye.
Bye. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.